Hello everyone and welcome to the latest of Bright Green's interviews with the Wales Green Party leadership and deputy leadership candidates. Before we go any further, please do scroll down right now and hit that subscribe button. It means you won't miss any of our other interviews with the candidates, and it means that you will see all the videos that we put out as they come out. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our candidate that is with us today. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Amerjit Kaur-Dhaliwal. Amerjit, how are you doing?
Very well. A little bit busy, but very well otherwise.
Well, sorry to add to your busyness, but to get us started, so you are standing for both the leadership and the deputy leadership. So tell me, why do you think you're the best placed person to lead the Wales Green Party?
Well, going back to the quick brief conversation that we had a little bit earlier, I didn't know that I can't remember the email that I'd put in. So deputy leader, definitely I'd put in for deputy spokesperson. But the leadership one, I think somebody else may have nominated me and then somebody else maybe seconded it. But in terms of leadership qualities, I've definitely got those. And I think generally that's what you need. More than anything, what you need when you're a leader is to be able to have a good idea of the broad spectrum of people out there, of society. Now, I've come from a very poor working class family, like proper poor working class family. And by right, everybody who was, to the point where there was 19 people living in our house. That's how, that's how poor we were. And by right, people like me shouldn't have been able to go to university. We shouldn't have been able to do a lot of the things that I've done. However, I put myself through university, and I just went for it. I'm not I'm not one of these people who's like career orientated that I'm going to let my ethics fall by the wayside. I just went out there and did it. And I think that's really, in terms of leadership, because of the people that I've known from all the different levels of society, and being able to work with various people and groups of people, from when I was a campaigner, from when I was a kid, even a campaigner now, and I think it takes a leader to really have good experience of people of whom they want to lead. Otherwise, you're just talking to you're just talking to your own little subsect of whatever it is that and we know that in politics. So when you have so for example the Tory party, they're just talking, they make decisions for the subsect of, because they have no experience of what it's like to live on different to live in different areas of life. I mean, I've been homeless, for example, like so many other people are, and so many young people are as well. And I look at the Green Party and I think, where are all the young people? I'm nearly half a century old, and I think, I'm old enough, like, where are all the young people at? Why is it that suddenly we're surrounded by older people who are getting into politics? Not all, I know that, but we need a lot of young voices who actually want to get into politics and want to represent, and I think the Green Party have got a way to go. Especially Wales Green Party as well, because a lot of people come and retire in Wales, don't they? Especially Brecon and Radnorshire, where I'm from, where I moved to. I mean, I was only born 2.5 hours up the road. I'm born in the Midlands, but it is like a different world. And a lot of people who do move there, they've either been there their whole lives and are, happy with the status quo, or retire there. And that's where we're at, I think. I mean, bear in mind, I've only been living there since sort of April, May. But I know that's a really long answer to your question. But I thought if I talk long enough, then you won't ask me another one.
Well, there definitely is another one coming. So you mentioned that you've been in Wales since sort of April time. Now, so you'd have just caught the end of the Senedd campaign. And the Senedd elections in May.
Yeah.
Now, there was a lot of hope on that election that it would be the year that the Greens would finally break through onto the Senedd. Why do you think that didn't happen?
It could be a lot of what I've just said, or maybe all of the above. You know, are the Green Party targeting the correct people when we're sending out flyers? I mean, like I say, I can only go from where I'm at, Brecon and Radnorshire. I have met members of others, like Port Talbot, my friend Nathan, who went to campaign school with. So I know that there's younger voices, and also my pal who's a Gurkha as well. So I do know that, you know, there are other things going on. But in Brecon and Radnorshire, you know, yes, we had a councillor, which is awesome, and there is a representation for the Green Party there, but we need to get it together a little bit more, if I say professional, get a bit more professional with it. I know that there's a lot of in England, there's a lot of councillors who are just wiping the floor with people, and their campaign is on point, and that's where we need to be. You know, it could be a whole host of different reasons, like, well, we've always done it this way, we're not going to change, you know what I mean? It could be a whole load of different things. But I do know that if we take some really good examples, so for example, Norfolk, if you look at places like that, that's where we need to be looking at, why are those guys winning, what's the difference, and then know your area, obviously, as well, work in your area. You know, we all know how to get there. It's a matter of getting there and putting our egos aside and just going for it.
So you talked a little bit there about sort of professionalising the party and improving how the party campaigns. We're sort of 6 months away now from the local elections in Wales taking place in May next year. And for viewers outside of Wales who may not know, it's not the same system as in England, where you have sort of an annual cycle of elections. Instead, every 5 years, Wales has local elections. Now, in the last set of local elections in 2017, the Greens won just 1 seat across the whole of Wales in those council elections. If you're elected, how will you ensure that the Greens win more seats in May?
Well, like I was saying, it would be a matter of getting more professional with literature, and also talking to the people of Wales. You know, what is it that they want, and doing it. You know, and look, everybody has ethics, everybody wants good, everybody wants their area to be nice, everybody wants pretty much the same thing. There aren't that many bad apples, to be fair. And so if everybody wants the same thing, well, why aren't we sorting that out? You know, why isn't that's what we need to be doing? Like, you know, if you need your litter sorting out, if you need, you know, if there's problems with homeless, there's problems with drugs. One thing I've noticed is I didn't realise how the problems with mental health through drug. I mean, what the hell? The county lines and all of that sort of stuff as well that's going on. You know, how is this being addressed? We can't, you know, I think we need to get real, you know, and really start caring about what is going on in Wales and how we can help each other, because everyone wants the same thing. And, you know, the Green Party, I mean, we're about sustainability, and people go, oh, well, that's about environmentalists. Well, no, that's just one part. Well, you know yourself, that's only one part of the trilogy. There's also the social aspect, and, you know, yes, the environmental aspect there, but the social aspect really needs to be looked at as well. And this is what people care about. They care about, you know, their families. They care about, you know, the economic side of it is, you know, will come is part of that as well. It's so complicated, but we can't approach it. We have to approach it simply, and with mindfulness, with ethics. I mean, you're asking massive questions, and it's really difficult to answer them like in like a sound bite. But I think you kind of get where I'm coming from a little bit. You know, it takes a lot of people to kind of get that moving, but essentially what it is that, you know, we can We can do it. We just need to be more local, listen to what people are saying and act on it. It's not rocket science.
I'm going to ask a couple more big questions, sorry. The first of which is, over the last few months, sort of since the election in May, the Wales Green Party's had quite a few high-profile members, whether they're lead candidates in the Senedd elections, or indeed Emily Durrant, who was the Wales Greens' only councillor in Wales, leaving the party and often joining Plaid. What's going on there? And if you're elected, how will you stop members leaking away, those high-profile members joining other parties?
I reckon I think the answer to that question is in everything that I've just said. It is a matter of, I mean, in terms of why people leave certain parties, then, you know, that is a lot of that's usually to do with kind of probably more to do with what other parties offer as opposed to the other way around, maybe, I don't know. But what I would say is, like I'll probably just repeat what was said before, which is, you know, professionalism, looking at the whole scope of people who live in the area, really start asking some, you know, getting more involved in what's going on. So yes, we've got the issues with the River Wye, so we've got that side of stuff. We've got issues with drugs coming into small towns. You know, like you go out on a Friday night and most of the kids are coked up. What the hell's all that about? And then we wonder why they have mental health issues, and then we wonder why there's all that. You know, it's not, like I say, it's not rocket science. I think we need to start kind of making people realize that we're just more about the environment. We're not just about the sustainability, isn't just about the environment, it's about people, it's about economics, and and making sure that they all work in tandem together. The problem with other parties is that they've leached one or the other. So they, you know, so for example, the Tories will leach the economic side and not give a care about what it's doing to people or the environment. You know, anybody who's green knows that that's not sustainable. That's not, you can't continue like that. And we all know that, actually. You know, does that answer your question?
It does, yeah. And I've got some of the stuff you were talking about there, you touched on what I wanted to move on to, which is politics in Wales is quite a crowded field at the moment. You've got obviously Labour, Lib Dems and Tories all in the, that have, you know, representation in the Senedd, Labour in government in Wales. You also then obviously have Plaid, which is a strong force. You have on the right, you've got parties like Abolish the Welsh Assembly, and you have UKIP and the Brexit Party and so on. And then you have the Greens. So it's a very, very crowded field in terms of the number of political parties that are vying for support. Where do you think the Greens should be placing themselves and pitching themselves politically in that context?
At the top. At the top. You look. We know. Look at the situation outside our front door. The environment. You know, the storm that's hit some people in terms of the floods and fires and all this, you know, this environmentalism and people and the impact and the financial impact, everything is everything that the Greens have been talking about for decades, absolutely decades, and it's all going on. So if we're not pitching ourselves at the top, then what's the point? You know, this is our time. You know, this has gone beyond our time. We should have been at this point 20, 30 years ago. But things are put in place that stops people like, you know, our voices being heard. So whether it's being belittled by other parties who have got more funders, you know, we all know that politics is set up for a two-party system where the option's there. If I go to a supermarket, I don't want to be, you know, I don't want people to say, right, you've got two bad apples to choose from. You know, I want nice apples, and we're the nice apples. But that's where I'm at anyway.
That's beautifully put. I've got one more serious question before I've got some sort of slightly more flippant ones.
Yeah, I'm hungry, by the way. I haven't had breakfast, hence the whole apple thing, and I've got some apples sitting there that I need eating.
Totally understandable. So imagine you're elected and you're sitting where you are now in a year's time. What would you be most proud of having achieved?
If we can all work together, my thing is about working together, letting the ego go. There's no ego, it's all a teamwork makes a dream work. I know it's a cliche, but that is the point, basically, isn't it? And once we let egos go and know that, I was in the armed forces. If there's one person who's the big I am, it's never going to work. You're never going to win anything. Like, you're never going to save a life. You're never going to get to the point. You're never going to achieve the objective you need to achieve if there's always somebody there thinking they're better than somebody else. It doesn't matter where you are in the party. The point is working together and reaching those mutual understandings, understanding each other, and knowing that, this isn't a hobby. It's not a hobby. This is, that you do when you retire. This is something that young people are literally having breakdowns over. The fact that their future is it's the threat is real.
I promised I'd give you some flippant questions. So these are ones that I'm putting to all the candidates. What's your favourite biscuit?
Favourite biscuit?
Yep.
Sing it. You know what? I don't. It'll probably have to be something to do with dark chocolate. I don't know, like maybe a dark chocolate one, but definitely because I love Rajesh Ranganathan.
Yeah.
They were talking about biscuits, and when you eat them, you've got to turn them upside down. You totally have to do that. I think I used to do it the other way around. I was like, oh yeah.
That is a pro tip. Next up, what's your favourite pizza topping?
Again, oh God. So I used to make, I like making my own pizza. So I used to, so I worked at Pizza Express for a little while, and my friend Santonio, he used to make me a pizza topping, which was pesto, and then he'd put spinach on it and mushrooms. So that was quite nice.
Sounds amazing. One that will definitely divide the electorate. Are you a cat person or a dog person?
You know what? I'm a fish person. So my first pet was a fish, and I won't tell you the name of it because that might give away some code somewhere, some like password somewhere. But I do have a dog, and I used to have a cat, but and I'm waiting still to get my fish. I've had my tank set up for ages, but I like fish.
Nice. Unconventional answer.
Yeah.
What's your favourite and least favourite Green Party policy?
My most favourite would be have to be probably something to do with the sort of social and ethical side of it. I don't have them all listed in my head. And in all fairness, having read the manifesto, I can't think of one that I didn't like, in all fairness, because everything, I mean, that's the reason why I rejoined the Green Party, is because every single thing there in the manifesto I agreed with. There was nothing that I didn't agree with. I can't think of anything that I don't. But I think in terms of agreement, it would have to be like that, the sort of like things to do with health and well-being, and just looking after people. I haven't got it all written down in my head.
That's absolutely fine. What book has most shaped your politics?
I'm reading Bittersweet Brexit by Charlie Clutterbuck, and I've been going through it. I could say Dune, because I'm kind of like, I love Dune as well, but that's a fictional
That's
stuff. But no, I totally, if anybody's really into like food and food safety, food miles and that sort of thing, food security, obviously Professor Tim Lang, spelled L-A-I-N-G, and Charlie Clutterbuck wrote, I think he's got a new one out from last year, but Bittersweet Brexit is really good. I used to work up until last year. I was working part-time with Garden Organic, and Professor Tim Lang's president of Garden Organic, but he's really, you know, insightful. He's a great guy. Yeah, so I'd definitely go for those sorts of things.
Some good recommendations there. My final question for you is, who in the Green Party inspires you the most?
I met, you know what, I met a whole bunch of people at campaign school, CS5, and in Nottingham, and I'd say every single one of those people, though I think there's probably about 20 of us, they all had their own stories, they all had their own motivations, backgrounds, and being with them for those 3-4 days really give me a really good boost, because it's very, going back to leadership as well, like leadership is very lonely. You do spend a lot of time on your own, and sometimes it can feel like an uphill struggle with when you're just having kind of people saying, well, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good, and you're just wishing for someone to say, oh, actually that's right, that's really good. And that's what those bunch of people did for me, and that just gave me like the added gusto. So no, not one person. I'd say all those people.
A very diplomatic answer there to finish us off. Thank you so much for joining us for the interview today.
No worries, and sorry about all the issues with the phone and what have you.
No problem whatsoever. So folks, don't go away just yet. I have a few final bits of admin just to go through before you leave. The first of them is, you know what I'm going to say, scroll down right now and hit that subscribe button. It means you won't miss any more of the videos that we're putting out in the future, and it helps Bright Green a big deal as well. We've talked about quite a lot of things over the last 20-25 minutes. If there's anything you've agreed with, anything you've disagreed with, let us know in the comments down below and keep the conversation going there. One thing before last is that for those of you who are new, you might not know that Bright Green isn't funded by billionaires. We don't have big business donors like the rest of the press. We're funded exclusively by kind and generous donations by people like you. So if you are able to donate, please do head to bright-green.org/donate. We ask people to donate just £5 a month. It enables us to put out more interviews like this, more articles on our website, more coverage of Green parties across the UK, around the world, social movements, the Labour movement, and the wider left. And the final thing I need to tell you is that you must, if you are a member of the Wales Green Party, remember to vote in this election. You'll be getting information about the election very, very soon. So once you've got that, watch all the videos, all the interviews we've got on Bright Green with the candidates. There should be 3 already on our website, on YouTube, sorry, and 1 still to come. Watch them, decide who you want to vote for, and make sure you vote. So that's everything from me. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you very, very soon.